All right, I called this meeting of the Board of Supervisors of Elections to order. It's Thursday, July 18th at 7 p.m. Roll call, Debbie Yatzik.
Yeah.
Myself, Eileen Leahy. Also in attendance is Regina Watkins Eldridge, City Clerk, Cynthia Reuter, Legislative and Policy Analyst, Ashley Leonard from Assistant City Attorney, and Teresa Bicallo, who is the Election Administrator. All right, so we have some public comments. The first public comment we have is from Trudy McFall, who submitted on the comments web form a comment requesting communication about management of future elections per the election task force recommendation. I've actually tried to be in touch with Miss McFall before, and I think our calls are crossing each other. So I will give her a call and provide the follow-up that she is requesting. Just of note, Ms. McFall is the chair of the Anne Arundel County Board of Elections. Then the second piece of comments was a submission dated July 18th addressed to Mayor Gavin Buckley from Keanu Smith Brown, who is, I'll just read it into the record. Dear Mayor Gavin Buckley, I am honored to have been selected by the Annapolis Democratic Central Committee, appointed by you and affirmed by the Annapolis City Council to serve on the Annapolis Board of Supervisors of Elections. As I have served over the past years, I now write to inform you of my resignation taking effective today, Thursday, July 18th, 2024. In my departure, I especially share appreciation to my fellow board members, Eileen Leahy and Deborah Yatzik, City Clerk Regina Watkins Eldridge, Assistant City Attorney Ashley Leonard, Legislative and Policy Analyst Cynthia Reuter, and our technology staff. Blessings and love to you all in our city of Annapolis. Sincerely, Keanu Smith Brown. Okay. Okay, well, let me finish. So we'll accept that into the record. Want to thank Mr. Keanu Smith Brown for his service, and he is here this evening and wants to make public comment.
Well, I didn't really have any other public comments aside from what I shared, though I do officially want to say I've learned so much with you all. I'm blessed to have this opportunity. And again, I do give my love, and we won't see each other too far from here. We'll still be a part of each other's lives. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, approval of the minutes. Is it going to happen? All right, so we have the first one is April 18th, 2024. Do you have any comments, Debbie?
No, I'm good on all of them.
Okay, I only had, okay, well, can we do them all at once? Do them each one? Okay. Well, let's do them all. I'd like to do them separate then if there's a change. So just a motion to accept the minutes of April 18th, 2024 as written.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
The minutes from May 16th, 2024. The only thing I saw was on page 3. Jim Praley's name is written as Crawley, so it's just a typo. But they look fine to me. Any comments?
Okay, so move acceptance.
Yes. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The minutes from June 6th, 2024. How do we do this? Because Debbie wasn't in attendance, so can I just do it?
Oh.
Okay, so I move that they be accepted as written. All in favor? Aye. All right, minutes from June 20th, 2024. Any comments, any changes? Any changes from you, Debbie? Okay. I didn't have any changes.
Move acceptance of the minutes of June 20th.
All right, second, all in favor? Aye, all right. Thank you, Teresa and Regina, because I know listening to our changes and things like that must be nerve-wracking, but you got it. Very impressive if I do say so myself. All right. Okay, and we have a new item that we will be having on a regular basis now, which is an update from the city clerk / election administrator. You need one of these.
Certainly.
I should know better, right? We're in the process of updating our webs page. We're very well into it, making all the changes, making sure that the packet is ready for our office when it opens on the 29th, Monday the 29th, which is like 11 days from today. So we're working on that. We worked on the campaign fund report with the MIT department, and they made the suggested changes that Eileen sent and Ashley looked over and okayed. And we also updated the certificate of candidacy so you could fill it out online. And the bottom part for the notary, you could come into our office and get it notarized, or you can have someone else notarize it. But it'll be easier for us to read now that it's an online form. So that's where we are with that. And the election page will be ready, and all of the documents that you need to run will be ready on Monday, July 29th. So anybody who would like to run, please feel free to visit our website at www.annapolis.gov/elections, something. But we'll put that out. The public information officer will be putting out a notice that the website is up. Thank you.
All right, old business. Legislative review. We're down to at least the last one that we've been discussing, the provisional voting and canvassing. So thank you, Cynthia, for providing the side-by-side. It was quite enlightening, at least to me. I don't know what your thoughts are, Debbie. Did you get it? You're looking at it. It's a lot. My general thought is we started out to change a few things and thinking that if we changed the big package, it would cover everything. And I'm thinking that it really doesn't address some of the things we wanted to change. And it kind of puts us in the position of accepting things that we may or may not want. It's kind of what I'm thinking at this point. Any thoughts from Cynthia or maybe Ashley if she had a chance to look at it? I mean, the big question had been, do we start opening ballots before Election Day? That was the main thing that I believe we were talking about. And so the state allows that option. But when I look at all of the things regarding canvassing and I look at what they have that we don't have, I'm not sure we need to go into some of that level of detail. Or it includes things that we don't have, like referring to the clerk of the city, the clerk of the circuit court, which is not something we would do. So.
I guess you have to decide. The purpose of it was to try and streamline it because the county helps us. And if you make it different than the state laws, which you can to some extent, the more you make it different from state laws, the more the county has to retrain and rethink about how it does everything. Which they can do, and they've done it for past elections, but it's not their preferred operating style. So if you're going to adopt it, obviously, if you're going to adopt it in whole, then you'd have to put some language in as kind of like as applicable, or you're going to have to piecemeal and pick what you think. But When you piecemeal it, then we're going to have to make sure we clearly let the county know what parts we're taking and what parts we're not taking, because they're going to have to operate off of something different than what they do. So, I mean, legally you can go either way. I mean, there's plenty of jurisdictions who just adopt the state laws and you apply what's applicable and you apply what doesn't apply. You include some disclaimer language. It's just how you want to interact with the county. Because in the past with the county, with the MOU, we have had to do a whole exhibit that specifically goes through many, many pages about what they have to do differently from ours. And that has to be included in the MOU, and we have to update it, and it has to be a conversation. So we were trying to simplify that to some extent, because it is one of the things that has held up the MOU every election cycle. And I would also say that a lot of the candidates and a lot of the media also expect it to run the way the state does.
Right.
And so I remember the last one we did, the candidates weren't super thrilled that there wasn't ongoing canvassing and that they had to wait longer than other candidates for other elections had to.
Correct. But we could theoretically correct that in our own code now.
Correct. And again, I mean, like that's sort of a decision for how, like an operational decision is, if you just want to take parts of it, then that's fine. But then we have to spend, which is fine because we've done it in the past, then we have to spend more time in the MOU, in that specific exhibit, telling them what parts we're taking and what parts we're not doing.
Okay.
So that when they are running it, they know how to do it.
Okay. I mean, the recommendation of the task force is for us to be adopting state code. The recommendation and encouragement from the County Board of Elections is for us to do state code. It's just a question of, do we start with this and then eventually do all of it, or start with this and it's just really a question. I do know that during the task force presentation to City Council, there was at least one, if not two, council members that did express concern about adopting state code in total. I guess the example that was given was in terms of the environment, that when changes are made, it doesn't necessarily reflect the local. So I'm just giving that as feedback in terms of anticipating, if we were to move forward with this, what type of questions we might get from City Council. Your thoughts, Debbie?
I really defer to the law department and the city clerk regarding the history and what would be the most efficient, effective for the voters, the candidates, and the running of the election. I mean, we could go either way. We can take the state and just use what's applicable, or we could, write ours to reflect the state and the county needs to know, and whatever legally is the most clear, and there's goods and bads.
Right. So one
Either
question I
way.
had was, if we were to adopt the state code, and then for whatever reason, the county did not run our election, would we be able to fulfill the code, given the technology that is outlined in the code?
Well, I mean, it's a good question, but I think at the end of the day, we would have to figure out other than for the special elections, I don't think we can go back to like what we were using.
Right.
So I think, even if the county wasn't running our election, we would probably still would be a good idea to use the same technology they use, because that's what voters are used to, unless you want to go back to handwritten ballots. Because
I think the code says that we have to use the technology that the county used at their last election. I think it's in there.
I don't know if it says we have to, but it does say we can.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, the code already says we can use the technology. I mean, the reality is, I guess the question is, would we ever go back to like handwritten ballots? I mean, because that's essentially the alternative, is you would either use the current technology or you'd go way back. There's not much in between.
Right. Well, there's one thing being the technology, then there's also the hard equipment. And I would imagine we would just have to make sure to get vendors that could meet the code, because there are
I mean,
multiple ones.
but the likelihood is most vendors that are in that space, are, especially in this area, are used to complying with the state laws. It would be harder, honestly, to find a vendor to fit our unique laws than to find a vendor who could comply with state laws.
Okay.
That's a good point.
I mean, I would think. I mean, not that you couldn't find a vendor to do it, but again, it would be one of those things, like when you're dealing with the county, the same sort of thing. You would have to explain to them that you do things a little different and see if they can accommodate that, and versus just saying, hey, can you run our election the same way you would run, like, the state election?
Okay. So one of the situations that we've come close to facing is the situation where we might have a special election at a time when the county is running a state or a federal election and may not be able to run it.
Yeah, I mean, but
So is there something we can write in there, just?
well, in the special election section, you could write language that says that you could use, I don't know, something like you could use, if equipment or time or other sort of constraints don't allow for full, whatever, meeting full standards, you could go to a
Does
alternative.
that, not in this election cycle, but in a past election cycle, it came close to that. And when we made inquiries to the vendors,
Yeah.
the vendors were like, we're booked.
Yeah, I mean, we could, it's, special elections are always tricky because you never know when they're going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, well, you could put something in the special election section that says, due to hardship or inability to find vendors to provide the, necessary equipment, that you could do it in an alternative manner.
Well, certainly the state language is much more up to date and really is,
Yeah, because ours talks about like pencils and,
yeah, I mean, it describes what's actually happening. So the changes that I noted that if we did go to the state, was the canvassing of the ballots, so it would move it up. They would also be able to start processing ballots. Another thing that I was surprised, but they have a bigger board. They allow decisions at the canvass to be reached by a majority, and our code says unanimous.
yeah, because only 3 of you.
Right, but I'm just saying that that's just what,
I mean, but at the end of the day, majority is still 2, so it's not like you're cutting out.
right. I'm just pointing them out. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm just, I think there's a couple of little things like that if we go that way, we just have to be aware that it's different than what we've done.
Yeah. I mean, and I honestly, from a legal perspective, majority is kind of better, because what if, for instance, someone is in a car accident on their way to like the polling
Right.
place and you can't get all 3 there, or, someone has some sort of emergency. In an ideal world, having all 3 there is wonderful, but a majority would give you a little bit more flexibility for emergencies.
Okay. Then references to the circuit court is one. And then the other one, I don't know if you all remember this in the last canvassing, they're very specific about nothing can be written on the ballot. If someone writes their name or any identifying information on the ballot, they throw it out. So that's just another difference than what we have done historically. What we did in the past was, it's only happened once that I know of, we made a duplicate like we would do for any stray marks, and then we submitted the duplicate for the scanning. So again, I'm just pointing out a difference that differs from us. It really only differs from us in practice because I think I'm sure when we reviewed the code, we didn't have any reason not to do it that way. Where they do have something in there saying if there's any identifying marks on the ballot, it's discarded. So that would just be something just to be aware of. So next steps. Any thoughts on your end, Regina or Cynthia?
Oh, I have it.
Well, if you decide to go with the state, we do the exceptions clause that was mentioned. But if you want to go to take your own path, then you need to decide how you're going to deviate and exactly what you want done. What's going to be different.
Okay. I don't think there's really that much that would be different. It's, it's more than what we do. It would be some of these sections that they get included as far as how they treat things as far as the governor and other elections, which doesn't apply to us, and that could be handled with something.
I think it sounds like all arrows are pointing towards adopting the state with the exceptions, within exception clause where it pertains to our local.
Yeah, well, technically, we've already approved going to the state code on canvassing. So I guess then the next step, unless either one of us wants to change it, we just go ahead and just take a closer look at it and tweak it. How's that for a really fancy word? All right. Do we need to make a motion? I guess I'm trying to think what to say.
What are you planning on doing, like reviewing it again and making a decision at your next meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we have to go through it, I think, even with more of a fine-tooth comb. And, work with Ashley and Cynthia as far as just making sure. Those are just some of the ones that I pulled out. And I think it's also beneficial for us that specific changes like that be made aware. So if, when it does come up for review from the council, that they're aware of the changes from our code. Okay. And I can make motions, right? Yeah. I always defer to somebody else, I know. All right, so I move that we continue review of the Maryland election law in regards to canvassing, identify changes, and recommend other changes or amendments for review at our next meeting. Does that work?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moved. Thank you again, Cynthia. This was really helpful.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. All right, provisional ballots, kind of the same thing. Now, provisional ballots is a little bit easier because we actually, in our code, it's actually in a different place, isn't it? I'm thinking something different, but anyway. As far as provisional ballots, I didn't see too much as far as changes, except for the definition. We just finished going through definitions. Their definition means a ballot distributed to an individual after the individual has completed a temporary certificate of registration. But the state's is broader and really is the one in which we use, which means a ballot that is cast by an individual but not counted until the individual's qualifications to vote have been confirmed by the local board.
I kind of like that one better.
So we can still make changes to the definitions? Would that drive you crazy? We did approve it, but can we make another change? Well, I mean, if we adopt this as state, then we go by that.
It's just that our definition doesn't include anything about counting. It says who can have one, but it doesn't bring into whether it's counted or not.
Right. And, well, it doesn't include, like, if I'm from Ward 1 and I decide to vote at the Ward 4 polling place, I don't meet that description. Because I'm not completing a temporary certificate of registration. I'm just saying I'm at a different polling place, so I'm going to get a different ballot, which means I have to vote provisionally. Same thing when we get all of our friends from 21209 and 21203 that tell us that they're city residents. So I guess if we adopted, it would become part of that. So I guess the question is, do we need to make a change before we submit the definitions piece to City Council?
If you go to add it to definitions, you can just add it to, it has it on it, we're still, even though you approved it, still
Right.
Waiting.
I think it's in there. It's just the old definition. Can you check, Cynthia, if it's one of the definitions? Even if we didn't adopt it, it's a better definition.
It is. Yeah.
Provisional ballots, the definition is in this, the one we approved. So what was your question?
So the one that we approved, that's there, what, can you read it out? Which one is it?
Provisional ballot means a ballot distributed to an individual after the individual has completed a temporary certificate of registration.
Okay. And so what I'm proposing then is that we change it to what the state defines it as. So I'm making a motion that we define provisional ballot as means a ballot that is cast by an individual but not counted until the individual's qualifications to vote have been confirmed by the local board. Good. All in favor? Aye. So do we want to move forward then with this? I didn't really see, too much variation in this, but we could do the same thing we're doing for canvassing, which is just really look at this a little bit more with a fine-tooth comb and then look at it at our next meeting for review.
Yeah, they are very close.
Yeah.
And it's a very short section, so yeah, that's a good idea.
All right. So I move that we accept, we move towards, what did I say for the other one? I move that we review further the current Annapolis versus state provisional ballot election law, and then review it at the August meeting for a final determination. Okay, all in favor? I so moved. Well, that went well. And then the next thing really is just, I just put timeline in just to kind of get a sense of where we are with the different legislation. So if we get this finished, I'm hoping we can start introducing it in September.
Yes, well, you have election fees have been approved, so that's ready to go. Recounts, you decided no legislation is needed. Mail-in voting, you approved, that's ready to go. Ballot questions approved, ready to go. And surplus funding reporting deadlines, ready to go. So
Okay,
the
cool.
only things you have yet to do are the provisional and the canvassing.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, the next order of business is approval of the FY '25 Board of Supervisors of Elections priorities. We had done some discussion at the last meeting, and I just sent this out. What I did was just kind of merge what we talked about. So I do think I may have left something out. Did you not ask about including something on ID registration?
Voter ID and non-partisan. Open blanket primaries.
Right, we put that in. So it would be,
That's fine.
well, we can continue to look at it and not
Yeah,
do it. Okay,
it's an ongoing topic.
okay. Do you have any changes you want to make?
No, do you have what I have? I have 3 priorities.
I just merged those three. I just kind of
Okay,
took what
I
was
see.
up there and tried to use some of the same language.
Okay.
Do you want to look, go ahead and look at it if you want.
Last-
I didn't add anything.
Right, we're good. We're good. Got this one. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, these are just
Good.
guidelines
Yeah,
for
yeah,
us.
Of course.
So do you want to make
I
a
like it.
motion, we'll accept these as our priorities?
And can you send that, make sure I have it? Send
Okay,
it.
why don't you make,
I make a motion to approve the priorities for FY '25 from the Board of Supervisors of Elections, as written.
and can we post these on our website, Regina?
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand when you say approval of priorities 2024 FY '25, what does that mean?
In the past, we've done different priorities or things that we're going to be working on in the coming year. And it's
But-
usually been part of the report that we've given to the city council.
Okay, but it's an election year, so it's kind of different, right? Like your priorities are like whatever makes the election run. You know, like where the clock starts.
No, that's a good point.
So that's why I was confused, like some of these things.
This is really kind of an internal type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already pretty much done the first one.
I was just asking. for
No,
clarity,
it's a good
because I
point.
don't even know where it would go, because it wouldn't go on our.
All right, so this is, we can just use this as an internal guide. That's fine. That's all it was meant to be, so, okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we were all on the same page before
Me too.
adopting it, okay.
So, yeah.
All right, and the highlight of the meeting is the review of the campaign fund reports.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, sure.
We accepted we have all of the late fees except for one from, Mr. Gay. He's
Okay,
the only late fee that's outstanding.
so I have,
But it's only for 2 days, it was $40.
right, but I have a question because I think we're still considered in pre-election, and that's $10 a day, not $20 a day. We're at post-election. We're in a $10 a day period.
We'll check, okay. I gotta check.
If you would just double check that for me.
I will.
Of course, that's the reason why we went to just do one. So moving forward, it will just be the $20 a day. But that's some of the confusion, what's pre, what's post-election. So, okay. All right, so
Did Keanu do his?
I have all of them done.
Yeah.
I went ahead and did all of them.
I did mine.
Yeah,
You
Right.
didn't do mine.
yeah, I did them all. Well, because I wanted to make it faster tonight.
Well.
So they all have to get 2 reviews anyway. Well, they all get 2
Need to do them.
well, they all get 2 reviews.
Okay, true. Okay.
So,
I reviewed mine for sure.
right, so it's
Okay.
just getting 2
Okay.
eyes on them,
All right.
so.
Great. That's good.
So do you want to start with yours?
Sure.
I mean, we can do it together, or we can just swap them and go through it.
Well, why don't we go through the ones I had, the 4 I had,
Okay,
and then we know those have had 2 eyes on
right.
them. Those will be quickest.
Yeah, let me pull them.
Finlayson.
I did not plan to do them all, but I had the chance.
I know,
And
bless your heart.
they were all in pretty good shape, so I just
Thank
went
you.
for it.
You want to start with Finlayson?
Okay,
Okay. What I found was on the summary sheet, the date is confusing. It was dated June 14th, but it was turned in. The date at the bottom signed is June 30th. It was due July 1, and it was received June 14.
They can turn them in early if they're not planning on making any changes through the
Okay,
Sunday.
even though they dated
But
the
they did
bottom later. Did you see that?
right, yeah,
The date there?
right, and the
there?
date here.
Okay, so that's fine, if that's okay.
It's worth noting, but,
And then the other item was the last report closed out at 1804.51. This one is starting at 1904.51. And I remember Keanu he had this one last year. I did pull up last year's results, but I couldn't figure out where that $100 difference is. But it was 1804 last year, why it's 1904.51 this year.
Is there a memo
with
that?
Why? I know.
Was it?
she had an amended report.
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't, when I looked online, I didn't see the amended report. I pulled up the PDF on it.
Right, so there was an amended report November 13th. And then there was another, I'm looking
And
at the
then-
wrong one.
Because what I pulled up online still said 1804, even though now it says 1904. But I wrote down it should have been, it was 1804 last year. 1904 this year.
I'm just pulling it up. So the June 27th one had the 1804.51. And actually, it was on the wrong line, and I think we just decided to go ahead and take it because they had,
Sure, that was down below, yeah.
right.
But it,
And that same mistake was made this time too, but let me go back and look at the other one again. So then there was one that was given on sorry, it's taking a while to pull it up. So then one that was submitted November 13th has the 1904.51
okay,
because there was an error.
okay.
But again, it was on the wrong
Okay,
line.
okay, thank you. The only other one on that one is on the disbursement, Schedule 3. The codes were listed, but I'm questioning the use of the codes. And this will be something kind of ongoing, is are our codes clear for the treasurer to know which one to choose? And so there is a reimbursement for a donation, which came in as an O, which is other. And then there were 2 community donations made, which were listed as a field expense, FE. And so, reimbursements are a little crazy anyway, but this is reimbursement for a community donation to a certain group, but it's paid to another separate party. But then for the Juneteenth events, there's two donations made that were listed as field expenses. And my question is, what code should be used for donations?
Remind me what the FE is.
FE is field expense.
Field expense. So, again, this is why we've been going through this. So, field expense, you could say, is, again, an opportunity to campaign or, get your name out there, as opposed to just a straight-out donation. One could make, since this is an incumbent, one could make the case, as we've made before, was this really something consistent with their role as an alderwoman? Since at present we don't really have anything to back us up as far as making those changes, I'm hesitant to say no.
Yeah.
Or I'm hesitant not to accept them because we have accepted them for other candidates.
But it is something, if candidates are making donations to community groups, which can be done, we should make that as an explanation, either under, a field expense is supposed to be gas, meals.
Right,
Not a donation to Juneteenth.
correct.
I would think of it more as a,
Well, we've discussed that moving forward, we're going to make it very clear that going to charities, it's, unless you're, a charity event, you can buy a ticket and attend it because that's consistent with campaigning as opposed to, what we've been allowing, because the state does not allow this. So if you want to give to charity, you can do it as your surplus funds at the end. But I don't think we can say it. Do you have any thoughts on that, Office of Law?
Yeah, I think until we update it, you have to sort of continue with current practice.
Okay.
which is, whatever they.
Right, but
Okay.
we're in agreement.
Okay, all right.
Yep, it's one of those things we know we need
Did you
to.
have anything else,
work on.
Finlayson?
I had, no, I had the same thing. So
Okay,
we can, if you give me your sheet, and we can just
Which
put
one
the
do you
sheets
want?
together.
I did 2 sheets for each one, I wasn't sure which sheet.
Okay.
I did,
Oh, okay.
I went ahead
Oh,
and did
perfect.
that.
Okay.
and then this was I
Okay.
just used an old one instead
All
of
right.
printing out all that big one.
Okay.
Okay.
One down, 13 to go.
My next one was Savage.
Okay.
And there was, on Schedule 1, there was no code for the 2 donations that came in.
Correct, I had that.
There was no slashing or initials on Schedule 2, 3, and 4. The top was filled out correctly, there's just, we've had this before. I don't know if we,
I think we usually
Care.
end up letting it
but
slide
there's,
at this point.
yeah, the
but-
slashing and initials don't always,
Right.
they happen less than they happen.
Right, but at least they have the name at the top.
Yes, exactly. And then my only other question was on the in-kind, again, that's another definition. He is absorbing the cost for the monthly fee for Nation Builder subscription. And that is listed under in-kind, although our description for in-kind is that it's a monetary item. So
Right, but he's paying for it.
It says, yeah, an in-kind contribution is a contribution in a form other than money to a political committee. There's two types that may be considered: a contribution to a committee in a non-monetary form, or a coordinated expenditure on behalf of the candidate where he consents. It doesn't say, again, where is the code for a donation to the campaign from the candidate.
Is what you're reading from city code,
This
or is
is your
that
blue,
from?
this is that blue. This
Right,
is-
and that's, I think, from state.
Okay,
So if we look up,
this is what we're recently looking at. In kind,
so
so that doesn't fit,
you're looking for consistency with the definition.
correct. And again, different candidates absorb some of their expenses, and it'd be nice if they were all listed the same. I don't care where, it could be in kind. Some put it down as a contribution.
Huh, it's not popping up on elections, let's see. So if it wasn't in kind, where would you propose it be?
Currently, there's not a real clear one, but it could be contributions. You know, I think in the past, some have put it under contributions.
I'm not finding in kind defined in the code, but I may be missing it. Well, again, I think this is a case where we are making some changes, but we've
Okay.
allowed it in the past, so
Okay.
I'm kind of inclined to go ahead.
Here's my two for
I did note that he has a new
Savage.
treasurer. So does that mean, Regina, that needs to be,
I think I'm not sure if he sent us an info, but I think he may have a while ago.
can you just check on that? Because I did notice it was different.
Did you have anything else?
Goes to treasurer at, Rob Savage treasurer, so, yeah.
So
if our
it
address to
was-
contact him goes to that, so if he changes treasurer, I think he just needs to submit a form, because I don't.
It doesn't matter if a different person signs it, though?
I don't know, because he submits his, you know, when we send out the campaign farm reports and all the
Right.
information, we send it to the candidate and the treasurer.
Right.
His emails are like kind of the same.
I see.
But again, don't we have the other treasurers fill out a form when they come on?
Yes, we do.
So I think the new treasurer should fill out a form.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm gonna file it.
Oh,
again.
okay, got it, okay.
Did you have anything else for Savage?
No, same things, you know, lack of strike-throughs and, trying to remember if he did the aggregates or not. He didn't, but it was only
He only had
two
the
small
two,
ones, yeah.
I might have put that on there too.
That's all right. We can merge it all.
Sure. Next is Tierney.
Okay, what'd I just do with that one then? Trying to keep them in the same order so they look the same. Did you,
I
you
just
handed that
made
to me,
mine
didn't you?
alphabetical.
You handed that to me, didn't you?
Which one?
Your,
Savage? I did.
I'm looking for. Oh,
There we
it is,
go.
Okay.
The messy ones. Okay,
Okay, Tierney.
Tierney. I had no code listed for the 2 donations. Couple of the Schedule 2 and 4 had slashes but no initials. Schedule
5 didn't have any.
no slash or initials. And then again with the, on Schedule 3, just the code confusion. 2 expenses were, to Walgreens for file folders and paper, and they were put under field expenses instead of office supplies.
Okay, so we can make that change.
So it seems like a file folder and paper should be OS as an office supply instead of a field expense.
Okay.
And then promotional wear from CVS was listed as an office expense when I would put that as like a
Publicity.
field expense.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
something, you know, I guess it's either we need to be clearer or just accept whatever they feel like is
Right, well, I
close
think
enough.
as some of the changes we're making is trying to make it a little clearer
yeah.
and more specific.
Yeah,
So we can certainly make those changes. So that's on the summary. And then I noticed on contributions and receipts, I did not see the reimbursement for the flowers that
right,
from the last.
yeah, it's
So,
not there. I
it's
noted,
not there.
I see that too.
Okay,
And we decided to take the lunches though, right?
correct.
It was just the
But
flowers.
we did say you had to get back the,
Yeah. Okay, here's my papers for her.
great.
And then the Annapolis Democrat Central Committee. Page 1 did not have their name on it. It just said Annapolis.
Right,
and then
I
it
saw that, the
stopped.
summary sheet, yeah.
And there was nothing else. So,
The only other thing I would ask them if we ask them to put this in, they need to be using their decimal points.
right, yeah.
And that showed up a couple of places that could be a little confusing.
Yes, I agree. And then just the slashing and initials weren't there.
So I think mostly just I would ask them to submit this with the appropriate top.
The full name,
Right.
okay,
And that's an easy one.
yes. Okay, what do you have? I didn't print anything else out, but I did look online briefly at all of them. This was good, though. They all came in, right? Within days, anyway.
So these are mine.
They
I
probably
can-
were annoyed with us bugging them so much last time.
Well, they did catch on for a number of things. All right, so this is for Dewan Gay. His was really good. Yeah, the names were done, the strike-throughs, the pagination. The only thing I saw on the summary sheet was that the signatures were there, but they weren't dated. Cash balance was fine. Schedule 1 was
On the summary sheet, oh, dated. I
dated,
see.
yeah. But it was and it was late. And so that late fee is pending.
Okay.
But he's aware. And on the,
Yeah,
let's
his
see if
look
I
pretty
fix
good.
this. I'm just double checking something from a note that I had. Okay, yeah. Yes, Alderman Gay has been consistently much better since his earlier days. So I will give him credit. Okay. All right, next one is Friends of Fred Paone. There were some
Yeah, I picked that.
inconsistencies with these. It was filed on time,
Well,
early.
yeah.
It's filed early. And the dating is
Yeah,
correct,
that's
though.
right.
You know, that was an aggregate that wasn't counted. On page 3, I had a question. So, again, I don't know if we can how we can change this with the new forms. This idea of transfers. So, I printed out what we had done in the past, which was when candidates transfer money to another candidate or campaign, it's recorded on Schedule 3 as a disbursement. It can
Yeah,
either
which
be
they did.
it can either be here in column 5 or it can be on Schedule 3.
2.
And in this case, it's not in either place. So what we generally encourage people to do for transfers is just do it on the Schedule 3, but get it in the right
Column.
column. I almost want to just keep Schedule 2 as just loans. And then when the person receiving that money, then they take it, they record it as a contribution. So they have to put it, they have to correct that, right. So they'll have to change Schedule 3. And also, they don't give descriptions of O's. That was a problem with a number of the reports. They just put O as the code, but they're supposed to put a description of what the code is. And there's actually a spot for that. So I would say they need to redo that. Okay. Also, I had a problem on the summary sheet to just I did end up double checking it. I think that might be one that there's an amended report I have to show you. Because it was a correction made later. Okay, I think we're good with that. One of the nice things about this time is there's not a whole lot of things coming in and going out.
Bad enough as it is. Much less all during campaign season.
All right, Friends of Jared Littman.
He's got a lot of in and out.
Right. The name of the candidate was there, pages, all the pages. The only thing that wasn't done was the pages, they were not,
Numbered?
but they were numbered, but the
Total?
totals were not done for the spreadsheet for the individual. So I'm sure what they did was, they just kind
Printed
of
it out.
printed it out and cut that way. And that's just something we can decide how we want to do it, but do we want to ask them to provide copies with it totaled up, or do we just want to?
I can see why it's not totaled, because it's a continuation.
Right,
But are they numbered?
they're numbered.
I think it's okay.
Okay. Each entry had a code. Those were all Cs,
yeah,
those
they're
were all
all Cs,
contributions.
yeah,
And
those
then
are
for
all
disbursements,
Mail and addresses.
yeah, they all had addresses. I also checked for aggregates because there were some double
I see.
contributions, but the aggregates were there.
I think that's the only one that did it.
Right. Well, and that's
The ones I looked at.
that's what I hope we do with our next template, because they have it set up for it.
Right.
So we just have to encourage the other candidates to set it up that way. No loans and transfers, disbursements all had codes. There was one O code used, and it was listed with a description. And so the totals came. There is a note with it saying the campaign received a $1,000 contribution via Act Blue on June 28th, 2024, and therefore included that contribution on Schedule 1. However, the corresponding fees from Act Blue have yet to be assessed, and the bank still needs to post the deposit. So that will be on the next one. And the campaign did notify Regina of that ahead of time.
So here, this was a donation to Juneteenth and put in as a PL. Whereas the other donation was put in as a FE. PL is publicity. So, same amount.
They may have done a sign or something for Juneteenth.
Right, so Juneteenth was publicity, and then I mean, the same amount from another alderman for the same thing
They're part of their flag. They're
was put in for something else, a
They're
different,
putting their
yeah.
pictures.
But that was listed, yeah, as what, the FE or something, so.
Yeah, I mean, if they
It's
do it as
confusing.
publicity, then it counts. If they just give it to them in the future, it won't count.
Yeah, so it'd be good to just be a little
We're getting there.
clearer.
Any other questions?
Yeah, FE is what one campaign used and another used PL for the same thing.
So now for the in-kind, there was in-kind on this, and this had to do
Okay,
with
so that makes sense. to me.
standards, name badges,
Those
okay?
are in kind. It's
Okay.
just that is in kind fees that the candidate is paying personally.
Right, that you're
'Cause
saying it really should go in as contributions.
Either way, but it should be clarified.
All right.
Whether, I mean, in kind initially makes sense, but then when you read what in kind means, it doesn't. I could go either way with it,
Okay.
but we just,
All right, well, I made a note that we need to make sure that do that. Okay, next one is Friends of Rock Taves.
yeah, it's pretty easy.
Did have a late fee, it was paid. Names were on. I checked the cash
Oh, there's no
balance.
treasurer here.
Right, but they just need the one.
I see, okay.
We should ask him. Yeah, I don't know if that means he doesn't have a treasurer, or the treasurer just didn't sign it. You know, some of these were left blank.
Yeah, there was no
Now,
slash or
he has a
initials.
loan that has been listed for a while, and it's a loan to himself.
Okay, here's the loan.
And,
You could take it if you wanted
right,
to.
and we've made that comment before, so I'll make that comment again, that recommend they pay off the loan. The only thing, I looked up the code, the only thing I could see was that you just have to notify the board of the loan within 6 months, but it doesn't say, I couldn't find anything saying it needed to be paid.
Should this be 10?
Regina will need it, she'll check that
that's it.
for all of them. It's the $10 versus the $20.
Yeah.
We'll check it. Okay.
I have that fee thing here. 10 a day, yeah. Late fee charge, including that are required to be spent during the election year.
Okay.
Post-election, $10 a day. But this is new. This is coming for FY '25.
Right, but we've had
We're not in that yet.
we've talked about what's post, what's pre, and it gets confusing.
But this gets adopted, July 1. We
Yeah.
are in July 1, okay.
All right, so here is Rhonda Pindell Charles. Hers was delivered on time. I checked the cash balance from the previous, and it was fine. Again, that she has a loan to herself. It shows up as Schedule 5 on the summary sheet, and it really should be on Schedule 2. So that just would be a change.
Schedule 4. Oh, wait.
She has it as an outstanding obligation, but in the past, she calls it a loan.
Right.
Again, it really should be just
Two? It should be on Schedule 2,
two,
right? Yeah.
right? And that's where I believe it's been before,
Right.
so it's listed it correctly. I mean, I think the bottom line is we would encourage her to pay it off.
Well, she doesn't have enough, does she?
No.
No. So she can't.
So it may end up being an outstanding obligation in the long run, but we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But if it's a loan and it's hers, then she's going to be the one that's going to eat it,
Shoulders
not, yeah. Okay. Friends of Gavin Buckley. Late fee not applicable. Things were numbered. The name of the candidate was everywhere. It was compliant as far as I could see. I didn't have anything.
The aggregates were there. They just, the slash and
Right.
initials. But if it's on, I don't know. I guess they just, if they're doing it online, they don't
Right.
slash or initial online. This is okay?
Right, I checked the total.
All right. I was blank pages.
The slashing is just the nurse in me. We never let the page.
Well, it's
be
slash
blank.
and initial. It's two things.
I know. All
I'm sure
right.
when I was treasurer, I did
The rest of
slash
y'all doing
and
okay? All right, here's the Republican Central Committee.
They're probably perfect.
They were late. Now, are they, they're aware of it?
They paid?
Oh, they paid, okay. All right, I didn't have, things look good. They're off by a penny.
No aggregates.
What?
No aggregates.
Yeah, no aggregates.
But that's, if it's.
If it's at
an
the
off
beginning,
year,
yeah.
Yes,
It's,
that's what I was thinking. An
I
off
think it'll
year
be, remind them.
Doesn't matter so much.
So on Schedule 3, they have, if you add the 2 pages, it comes out to $1,374.53, and on their summary sheet, they have it as 54.
Oh, instead of 53?
Yeah, so we just need that as a quick correction.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 63. Yep.
This one is Friends of Karma. It was on time, pages, name of candidates, strike-throughs, they were all fine. The cash balance was correct, totals were correct. She did use an entry code on Schedule 1 for O without a description.
Yeah, 25 cents.
Yeah, I don't know, it was an odd one, so I don't know.
Must be reconciling something.
Yeah. No PACs, loans, no loans and transfers, no disbursements. So it was a pretty clean report.
Simple. Now see, okay, so she's paying for her Squarespace,
Right.
just like
Like the
Rob
other one.
pays for his. She put it under in-kind as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should consider doing what they naturally do, which
Okay.
would be to put it under in-kind if two of them
Okay.
have done it that way.
I think that's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, because it feels like it
I'll
could
check
be
the
that.
state and see if they have
It's
a
just the
preferred.
definition.
Here is Ross Arnett. was on time, all the pages were sequential, the candidate was on every one, the pages, they did a good job of striking through. The cash balance jived with the last one. Totals were included at the end. Each entry had a code.
They were O's.
Again, they didn't do the O's.
Now, where do they put the, other description? Yeah, that's
It's a
kind of
little
hidden.
piece in there, so.
It's kind of
Right.
buried.
Well, that's why I think if we kind of reformat, we can make these a little better.
They should know better, though. He's been around.
No
New
outstanding
people I give a
obligations.
break to, but not existing people.
And then,
If he's, even if they have a new treasurer, if they're signing it, they
Right.
should have looked at it. Get it right.
okay, here's Brooks for Annapolis.
No treasurer, but that's okay, right?
It was on time. Name of the candidate, pages, no strike-throughs were done, but the candidate tops and the pages were okay. I was unable to check the cash balance because there is an amended report that I couldn't find.
You mean the
So,
previous one? Oh,
so that still needs to be verified. But the totals you did have all jived. I did make a note, because this came up before in terms of clarifying Act Blue. Ashley, do you remember with Act Blue, there was a question about, having to put, was it a PAC? And technically, it's not considered a PAC as long as they don't have how the like when you list the candidate on Act Blue. I'm sorry, I have to go back and look at my notes, but there's some format that they have to use
Yeah,
so that it's not a PAC. They're just using it as a collection
credit
agency.
card, right.
correct, right. It was like because I think was it Brooks? I don't know.
Brooks had it, Keanu had it last time. I think those are the only two that
I think
Act
we
Blue.
looked into it and it essentially wasn't a pact, but my brain is
Right, and we asked the
fuzzy.
candidate to get something from them, and they just didn't respond. So I think we just go ahead and, as long as it's being
it
used
was-
as,
we can double check, but I know we researched it and I know we
right, because we even contacted Jared DeMoranis about it.
we
Okay,
did.
I just made a note that he's still in Act Blue, but I don't think it would have changed since the last time.
And these contributions to other candidates, they're not transfers, they're just contributions.
Well, that's a question that I was having. When we talk about transfers, are we just talking about local, or it should be for all of them, I think? I mean, that's the way the code reads. It doesn't differentiate between local or,
I wouldn't differentiate, no. A transfer to a political committee could be any level.
and that's been something
There's a
in
bunch
his
of
last
them.
one has been an issue.
There's a lot of them. Picard and Raskin.
So I have that as a Schedule 3 for disbursements, transfers.
You did make note of it, okay, because there's, contribution, all those.
Yeah.
Okay. There's page 8.
I mean, I wonder if when we look at what MIT has done, if we just had a column that they could just, if they're going to be using spreadsheets, that they just hit it saying transfer, transfer,
I mean, it's a contribution as well. I
right?
don't know, maybe we don't even, is there a rule we have to even say transfer versus contribution? Why can't they all be contributions
Right.
and not do transfers?
I didn't see anything in the summary guide that said you had to do it that way. Ashley, maybe you could help us with that. I mean, we keep running into this when they make contributions to others. We insist that they do it as a transfer and not just as a disbursement with a special code. I mean, I
Yeah.
wonder if we could just say you can use it as a disbursement and code it as a transfer, as opposed to worrying about putting it in the right column.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the whole point of these reports is for transparency. So as long as it's
There.
there
Right.
and we're doing it consistently from a legal standpoint,
Okay. I mean, I think maybe that's the thing to do, is just make it a code.
Sure.
Could you check the summary guide? I looked at it, the 2022 summary guide, just make sure I didn't miss something.
Yes.
Because they define transfer and they define contribution, but they don't say how you have to put it in. But again, theirs is automated, so
yeah, there's probably just,
theirs just kicks it into a
Yeah.
certain,
Yeah.
where we don't have that, so.
nope.
All right, that's all of them. Did I get them all? Yeah.
Cool.
So what we'll do now is they've had 2 reviews, and I'll make up the analysis correction form and get it to Regina. Does that sound good? All right. Good job. Okay. What time is it?
We're gonna make some kind of motion with you guys to finish with your review,
Oh,
something like that, just so we know we're finished.
right. I made a motion that the campaign fund reports for this reporting period had been reviewed by 2 reviewers, and
Accept the review.
we'll accept the review and notify the candidates of changes needed.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, general discussion.
What about the Trudy McFall's comment?
I'm gonna call her.
Okay.
I've tried calling her, she doesn't call me.
Okay. Because I thought we've worked on this.
Yeah, yeah,
So she's not getting the word from her staff,
no, she's not
Okay.
getting it from her,
her people.
she's not getting it from her phone.
Oh. We've got people. She has people.
Right, so I will follow
Our
up.
people are better than her people.
I will follow up with Ms. McFall.
We have quality, not quantity.
Any comments, anybody else? Well, we're thrilled to have Teresa on board,
Yes.
and hopefully, I
We
know
won't
she'll
drive
be
you crazy.
picking up some of this, so we'll work that out with Regina as we move forward. I guess the big question is, I think we probably need to have an August meeting, but can we have an August meeting?
Why not?
I mean, we still have a number of things on the agenda. It doesn't have to be a long one, but are you available? I think we should go ahead with an August meeting. So that would be,
It's like the 20th.
it would be the 15th, it would be early. Okay, so let's plan on a August 15th meeting.
Virtual meeting.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, it's
virtual.
early. Yeah, August 15th.
Okay.
Here,
And we'll have certificates of candidates, possibly certificates of candidacy to review. Okay, so we'll have that. We might have some amended reports we can review, and provisional and canvassing, we'll have that to review. Okay, so we'll have enough for a good agenda. And then I guess the process will also begin to identify a new member.
Yeah, I can give you an update on that.
Okay.
We received a letter. Thank you, Debbie. We received a letter. We took the letter to the Boards and Commissions Administrator, Hillary Raftovich, and she consulted with Ashley today. And so it looks like the City Council selects the next member to complete the term of Mr. Smith Brown, who resigned today.
Right.
So we're going to work on that and try to give them a deadline of August the 15th to get a candidate so it can go on the City Council agenda for September 9th.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you
great.
won't have a person for your August meeting, but you will definitely have one for your September.
Right, okay. All right, any other business? Last chance. All right, can you call a adjournment?
Okay, I move that the Board of Supervisors of Elections adjourns at 8:21 on July 18th, 2024.
All right, second.
We're done now.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.